Hi everyone, my name is Laura and I'm a program manager at Process Tempo, here to show you how to maximize the power of your access to Process Tempo. Whether you're new to Process Tempo or perhaps a seasoned veteran looking for a refresher, this demonstration will help set you up for success. Today I will showcase the power of our Workspaces, Dashboard Builder, and Form Builder. From here, you'll have a solid understanding of the basic principles to get you up and running and self-sufficient. Let's first kick off with our Workspaces. Workspaces are where we organize all of the data, the dashboards, reports, documentation, essentially everything we need to help our end users answer those questions of the who, what, when, where, how, and why of the data they're seeing. Think of Workspaces like a Google Drive or OneDrive of your data. As you can see, there are three types of workspaces. Workspaces that you created, workspaces that are shared with you by other colleagues, and workspaces that are public throughout your organization. Now, upon creating an account, you'll have access to a public workspace called Process Tempo Training Materials. When navigating to this workspace, you'll find some pre-built folders that I've used to organize the content. So you'll find folders for CSVs, dashboards, forms, reports, as well as stored procedures. There are some pre-built items in each folder to help you get started, and we'll be using some of these to build dashboards and workflows today. Now you may notice that you have read-only access to this training materials workspace. When you create a space of your own, you can add relevant members of your team using this Access Management button on the top and select the permissions per user. Okay, let's get to work creating some amazing dashboards. As some background, we're going to leverage the report in your training workspace today to build out our new dashboard. You can also use the CSV files to create dashboards as well. So I'm going to select Create New Dashboard. I'll give it a name as well as some added context. And now it will bring me to the dashboard editor, and here's where we start to build. Users often start with the layout of the dashboard based on their personal preference, and to be honest, everyone is very different. Today I'm going to start with my logo in the upper left-hand corner, and I'm going to insert my image URL to populate the logo. And I can of course kind of delete and move things around as I go. Next, I'm going to start with my visualization, so I'm going to drag over a chart, and I'm going to select the data source I want this chart to reflect. Pro tip, all of the reports in my current workspace that I'm in will always populate at the top. So I'll select my Northwind product count by status report, and you can see some added context about where this report is from, when it was created and who created it, etc. So it's going to populate a line chart. You can see that my count is the y-axis and the status is the x-axis. I can also populate and see what it looks like as a bar chart or a pie chart. And today, I think the pie chart looks pretty cool, so I'm going to stick with that. I'll give it a title, product count by status. And now I'm going to move over to a table. I want to see things populated in a tabular format. So very similarly, drag and drop the table, select the data source, in this case, the Northwind product report. All looks good. Okay. I'll give my table a title. And one of my favorite features is the simple ability to just drag columns and order them. So I'm going to drag the name, the reorder level, and most importantly, the status of the product names. And there's a couple that aren't so relevant, for instance, description as well as unit price. So I'm actually just going to hide those all together. And now my next step is the ability to filter this data. So I want to be able to filter both the pie chart as well as the table. So dragging over my selection filter, I'm going to give it a label. I want to filter by status of the product. And for the drop-down menu, I'm going to select my data source. In this case, it's going to be the Northwind product report. I'll press select, and the column set is status. And I only want to populate unique values for my drop-down menu. And it's going to affect the two reports that I use to create my pie chart as well as my table. So I'll first select the Northwind product report. and I'm going to select the column that I want it to affect. Of course, it's going to be status as well. And I'll repeat this step for the product count by status report. Column set is also going to be status. Add filter. Okay, and now my status filter is complete. And one last step, the cherry on top, if you will, is to drag a title to my dashboard. And selfishly, I'm going to label it Laura's Demo. And now press View. I can filter now with my status filter. So you'll see both populate. And that's how quick and easy it is to build a dashboard using the Process Tempo Dashboard Builder feature. Okay, so now that you have a baseline of how to create a dashboard using reports in Process Tempo, I'm now going to show you how to create powerful workflows within your organization using our form builder and dashboard integration capability. Let's use the dashboard we just built as an example. The table on our dashboard lists out product information. Now I want certain people to edit or provide feedback for that product-related data. For example, let's say that there is this product called Boston crab meat and its current status is available. But I want to tell the world immediately that this is now on recall and therefore not to sell it. So how do we do all of this? Process Tempo enables you to create forms and embed them into dashboards. I've already created a form called the Product Status Change Form, and here's what it looks like. So I'll choose the product, in this case Boston crab meat, and I'm going to change that current status to recalled and add in a reason. Let's say salmonella outbreak. Now in this form, upon submission, that product is now changed. So if I go back to my product dashboard summary, you'll see that Boston crab meat is now on recall. But I had to go out of the dashboard to find that form within the form filter, and I really want to make that a bit easier for users. So if I click Edit and go into Edit mode, I can click on the table. And you'll notice some features where I can embed actions. So I can embed a double-click action, I can add a button to the row, I can add a right-click action, and I can even add a header action. For our demo today, I want to add a button to each row. So for the row, I'll add action, and that's going to pop up this menu. And I'm going to say, let's open a form. Now I'll select the form that I just showed you, and I want to call this specific button on this particular table, Change Status. Now, a nice beautiful button is added to our table, and if I view that, the form pops up, and I can edit accordingly. I'm now able to embed forms into the table so that we can exchange information seamlessly. Now, clicking Submit on these forms can actually kickstart a workflow. We can have other folks look at this, they can change the status and appear on other person's dashboard. So there's really a lot of amazing things we can do with this feature, and it's all done by linking that insight, action, and workflow together. So let's take a step back and learn how to create a form from scratch. Let's go back to my Forms folder and hit Create. I'm going to give it a name, let's call it Demo Form, and give a brief description of it. Now the form builder is very, very similar to the dashboard builder. You can drag and drop columns, you can even resize the form itself, and move things around as you go. Let's first start by dragging and dropping my logo in there. So I'll drag my image, add in my image URL, and now my next step would be to drag over a selection filter to my status menu. I'll give it a label. Now, I'll also want to populate the selection dropdown to reflect the different product status options. I do this by linking to my product report. So I'm scrolling over to the product report and I'm going to select the Northwind product report. I'm going to fill in my value and label. In this case, it's going to be name. And I also want this to be a required field to fill out, so I'll also select the required option, And how I link all of this logic is through a stored procedure. So here I'm scrolling to my stored procedure, which you also find in the stored procedures folder in the training workspace. Now I've linked it here. And now for this individual selection product, I'm going to scroll down and select the individual stored procedure parameter, in this case, prod name. My next step is to create that status dropdown. So I'm going to give it a name first. Now, if you want to enter the selection dropdowns manually, you can do so by selecting status inputs. So for instance, I'm going to manually enter in some options like available, recall, and so forth. And I'm also going to link this to my stored procedure with the status parameter. Now, onto the reason text field. So I'll scroll over, drag and drop my text field. I'll give it a name, reason in this case, and I'm also going to select it to be multi-line. In this case, I'll edit it to be a 4-line entry and finally link it to the reason parameter. I'll resize the form a bit bigger, and that's our completed, customized form that will allow us to gather information and feedback quickly and easily directly within Process Tempo. Okay, congratulations! That about wraps up your introduction to Process Tempo. Stay tuned for more advanced tutorials for those of you that are interested in becoming Process Tempo experts. Thank you so much, everyone.